September is looming around the corner, and it's time that people start thinking about applications to university, with so many things to consider, such as your personal statement, interviews for certain courses, and actually deciding your course. Applying through Ucat can seem overwhelming. This video will focus on things I wish I knew before applying to medicine. What's up and welcome back to my channel. I don't know why I have so much energy. It's literally 11 p.m. Why am I always filming so late? I don't know. Anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys 20 things that I wish I knew before applying to medical school. And these tips, I'm hoping, will still be applicable if you don't want to apply to medicine, if you want to apply to another course, and just generally advice for people wanting to apply to university. I'll be talking about the tips and tricks that I picked up along the way, and also the pearls of wisdom from some of my friends who kindly sent in their advice on how to improve and better your applications to universities. I'm hoping this will give you insight and just make your journey and application a lot easier. With that said, let's get into the video. Now, the first thing I wish I knew is that you don't need all A stars or a shining academic portfolio to be considered competitive for medical school. It's true that application to medical school is highly competitive solely because so many people apply to the course, and you need to have a certain competence to be, a doctor, because you will be dealing with human life. However, many medical schools across the whole country look at your application holistically. So that means that if you haven't had, the best circumstances at GCSE, and that's meant that you haven't came out with the best grades, if you have a strong Bmat score or strong Ucat score or a good personal statement, that can compensate for your not so good grades. Don't get me wrong, A stars, all A stars is amazing and definitely gives you that competitive edge. However, I know people at Oxford Medical School, I know a lot of people who didn't have all A stars. Similarly, at A-levels, I know a lot of people who weren't predicted all A stars. So yeah, don't discourage yourself from applying to Oxford, from applying to medical school because you didn't have all A stars. However, it's always best to resort to the admissions website for the university you want to apply to, because different universities will use your GCSE grades differently. So for Oxford, they put a heavy emphasis on your GCSE grades as well as your Bmat score and a little bit of context to shortlist applicants to interview. So look at your university. The Medic Portal have an amazing tool for you to compare kind of the requirements for university, to compare how different universities use different elements of your application. So check that out. Now, the second thing I wish I knew is that research is so critical. Honestly, researching your course, researching kind of how it's going to be structured, researching the university itself is so important. University is a massive personal and financial investment, and medicine as a course, I think, is the biggest personal investment, and also isn't too great for your pocket because you're going to be there for 5-6 years. So you need to make sure you pick the med school that is best suited for yourself and also the city and kind of student body that you'll enjoy being around. For medicine in particular, the style of the course at that university can definitely change your experience. At Oxford, we have a clear preclinical clinical split. So in my first year of medicine, I've had very minimal patient contact, and if that's something you don't really want from a course, maybe you want to consider a university that has a more integrated approach, or a university that where you start seeing patients as soon as possible. For me, I guess one of my biggest regrets was not researching what PBL was like. Manchester is definitely a good example because they were the first university to introduce PBL to their medical course, and I ruled off Manchester because I thought PBL wasn't for me. I didn't even do any research about it. I just based it on the decision that I had a poor experience at sixth form working in groups, so I thought I'd get to university and it'd be the same. Wrong. I should have done my research, and looking back in hindsight, I would have definitely applied to Manchester, and if I would have got an offer, that would have been my insurance. But of course, God works in marvelous ways, and I ended up with my firm choice at Oxford anyways. Yeah, moral of the story, research. Now, the third point is, don't compare yourself to other people. This is such an easy trap to fall into, especially when applying to such a competitive course such as medicine. But honestly, I'm telling you, it isn't worth it. Comparison is definitely the thief of joy, and there is room at that university on that course for you as well as the other person that you're comparing yourself to. And I'll say, in my experience, when I was kind of comparing myself to my friends and stuff like that, it kind of drained the joy out of the whole application process. I know it's not meant to be fun, but it made it even more kind of on the depressing side and on the more stressful side. And this links onto point number 4, which is do not see other people as competition. And point number 3, point number 4, quite similar, but generally it's so easy when you're applying to med school to want to outcompete the other person. But I'm telling you now, the ideal situation is for everyone to get an offer. The best kind of feeling on my results day for university was when I got an offer and my friends got an offer and we got to celebrate and joy. Let's help each other because we all want to get into university. We all want to see everyone thrive. So yeah. Number 5 is that you don't need fancy work experience. A massive misconception that I had when I was applying to university and reading the personal statements that you see on, I can't remember the website, is that I needed to do all this fancy work experience abroad, do weeks and weeks shadowing a surgeon, but generally that is not what medical schools want. Medical schools appreciate, especially in this current period of COVID, that it is often difficult to get work experience, especially in hospitals, especially with surgeons. Number 1, they're highly sought after as work experience placements, so they're usually very competitive. Even if you don't have any explicitly medical or hospital setting placements and you've done long-term work experience in a care home, volunteering your time, that is just as good. The key here is in reflecting. It's all about how you can describe and convey what you have learned from your work experience placements. The worst thing to do on your personal statement is to list your work experiences one after the other. You haven't shown the admissions tutors anything that you have learned, and it shows that you don't really have reflective skills, which are key in the life of a doctor. So honestly, if you can't get work experience, don't stress about it. Invest your time into other aspects of your application, whether that be your personal statement, whether that be other super curric, reading books, online courses. So guys, I'm reading tip number 6 and I'm realizing it's quite similar to number 5. I probably should have read through it. I wrote these quite a while back, but I'll say it anyways. So number 6 is that doing long-term community kind of volunteering work experience is usually preferred over hospital placements. The reason being is that if you can show you can do long-term volunteering in a care home or in a hospital setting, it shows your commitment, as opposed to hospital work experience placements, which tend to be a lot more shorter. My placements were from 2 days to a week, which is a lot shorter in comparison. And oftentimes you develop relationships, you develop a rapport with people that you're exposed to in your volunteering, and they're more valuable skills than anything you can learn from shadowing, because let's be honest, we don't have a clue what's going on when we're observing doctors doing procedures. Okay, number 7 is a little bit similar but still different. It is to do work experience and extracurricular that you're passionate about. Don't do it for the sake of the personal statement. This is one thing I did. So I was doing volunteering here and there, work experience, doing bare things. At one point I asked myself whether I actually ran for head girl, like the head girl position in my school, solely because of the personal statement. Those motives are wrong. Do things, run for personal statements, be in scouts, volunteer your time because you genuinely want to. Because the ideal condition would be for you to kind of continue on that activity, that hobby, that extracurriculum to university. And doing things that you're passionate about and you love is so much more fulfilling than doing it because you have to put it on your statement. And oftentimes you can't even fit in half of the activities, extracurriculars that you did on your personal statement. Those 4,000 characters, you think it's a lot, but they go so quickly. Now, point number 8 is that you can prepare for medical school for free. The sad, unfortunate thing of the matter is that there are also companies who are aware that med students will be ambitious, will be willing to do anything they can to up their chances of getting in, and as a result they end up exploiting med students in charging extortionate prices. At one point I was seeing £75, £100 for 1 hour of medical school mentoring. Please get out of here. That is so expensive. The amazing thing I think that's came out of this lockdown is that so many initiatives, so many mentoring schemes, so many free resources have started to be created, generated. It's just a matter of finding them. And give a quick shout out to some of my amazing friends, Journey to Med. You've probably heard about them. Their Instagram and YouTube are filled with an abundance of amazing resources that you can access for free. So check out my girls on Journey to Med. But of course, some paid resources are also very good. So for the Bmat, for example, I bought the question book, Bmat question book, and that was amazing. That was one of the main things I used for preparation. And I used the CGP Bmat official guide for section 2. For the Ucat, I recommend Medify as a paid kind of resource. It's amazing, honestly. I love it. In terms of free resources, maybe the Medic portal, they have free banks. Point number 9 is that poor entrance exams on your Bmat, your Ucat, sorry, isn't the end of the world. It's so easy to look at websites, university websites, see the exact numbers that they're looking for and think that if you kind of just about scraped it, or if you were below it, that you've kind of eliminated your chances of getting into that university. It just isn't true. Your score on your entrance exams are just one of the factors that universities take into consideration. I can definitely testify to this. So when I opened my Bmat results in November, I think it was, I thought it was the end of the line in terms of my Oxford application. I got 5s and I think 3.5 in the writing section, and this was well below average for a typical Oxford student. I was looking for 6s. Actually, at one point I was looking for 7s. I know, I was crazy, but I still managed to get an interview and I managed to get an offer in the end. So that just goes to show, don't give up after a bad score. Point number 10, and this links into the previous one, is to do your entrance exams as soon as possible. I understand that for certain exams this isn't like possible. For example, the Bmat September sitting, COVID has meant that's not possible. But for the Ucat themselves have said that it's best if you do it as soon as possible, just in case things change. I made the mistake of sitting my Ucat in August, meaning the whole summer I was just spending time on my Ucat. I didn't have time to enjoy, to rest. Try and do it as soon as possible. Obviously give yourself enough time to prepare for them. Point number 11 is to not stress too much about your personal statement. I don't think this is said enough. The personal statement at the time when I was applying, I thought it was the be all end all. I thought that if my personal statement was crap, then I would be rejected from universities without them even considering the rest of my application. And it's just not true. Just like the previous points I've made about your grades and your Ucat, your personal statement is just one of those elements that they consider in a holistic applications. Again, different universities will use it to a different extent. Certain universities such as Brighton and Sussex Medical School don't even read it at all. Now more than ever, medical schools are actually putting less emphasis on your personal statement because they're aware that you can have your mom write it, you can pay someone to write your personal statement. The quality of your personal statement also depends on the school you went to, because that dictates how much help you have, how good your teachers are at like giving you corrections. They know that your personal statement isn't a whole truthful representation of your abilities solely because you can change it. Anyone could write it and they wouldn't know. My tip for starting to write your statement is to just go for it. Blurt out. Your first draft it's not going to be the best, and that's okay. Your first draft is just a piece of paper, a canvas for you to blurt out anything that you want to include in your statement. And as you start to redraft, it will get better and better over time. Yeah, if you want to know more about the personal statement, watch my personal statement video where I actually read out my statement and give you feedback on every single section, what I did well and how I could have improved. So check that out. I'll put it in the description or in the information. Now, point number 12. I'm not even going to try with the hands anymore. Statistics are just that, statistics. They're numbers. I remember when I was applying, I was using tools on like the Medic portal to see which universities am I more likely to get into, and that is absolutely wrong approach. As a result, it meant that I was applying to universities because of how easy it was to get into, rather than the universities that I enjoyed, that I would like to study in. I know this because when I went to my Imperial interview, that was the first time I'd ever visited Imperial. I solely applied because with my grades and everything, I had a high chance of getting in, and also it's prestigious. But when I visited it, I didn't like it. So I'm so happy that I didn't end up studying there, because I don't think the setting, the city, the area would have been for me. But generally, do not let statistics dictate whether you should apply to university or not. If it's easier to get into Manchester Med School by about 2% or 3% just because statistics say so, however, you can see yourself studying at the University of Edinburgh for medicine, go for Edinburgh. Those 3%, 2% don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Apply to universities because you can see yourself there. Of course, we have to be realistic with kind of the grades that we have, the Bmat school we have, the Ucat school we have, but apply to where you want to study rather than statistics. I hope that point makes sense. Point number 13 is to find yourself a mentor. Obviously, this is not going to be easy for everyone, but what I can say is that, again, with COVID-19, there's been the rise of so many mentor initiatives, projects that mean that you can be paired up with a student from the university you want to apply to. Honestly, mentors are amazing because they give you the advice they wish they would have known when they were applying, just like in this video, and they kind of guide you through the process. I'll try to link down below some of the mentorship programs that I'm aware of. Target Oxbridge, which is a mentorship program established for students from African Caribbean backgrounds who want to get into Oxford or Cambridge. Another one is by my amazing friend Tash the Medic. She has a mentorship program called Reach Mentorship Scheme, which is absolutely amazing. Point number 14 is to not lose track of your A-levels. This is something I wish I could go back to year 12, year 13 Francesca and just tell her whilst shaking her, don't forget about your A-levels. Reason why I say this is because it's amazing to, you know, invest all your time into your application, get 4 out of 4 med school offers, but at the end of the day, I think A-levels are more important than getting that offer, because you're able to reapply the following year if you don't make an offer, and all it takes is just one med school offer for you to end up getting into med school. So point number 15 is that if you have any questions and you can't find the answers online, you can contact that university's admissions team and they should get back to you. If they don't, then maybe try ringing them up. But usually by emailing them, you'll get a response within 2 to 3 working days, and it will be the most reliable information because it will be from that university. Now we're on point 16, and from now onwards, I will be giving you tips from my lovely friends who sent in questions. They're also from Oxford Med School. And the first one is point number 16 from my amazing friend Tolu, shout out, who recommends that if you run out of Bmat questions from the Cambridge website, use TSA questions. TSA stands for the Thinking Skills Assessment, and this is also another Oxford admissions test. Their section 1 is very similar to the section 1 of Bmat and will provide you with a different angle of questions and extra practice if you do end up running out. I'm gonna quickly plug Tolu right now because she has an amazing YouTube channel called Tolu Duckworth. I'll attach it in the description bar below, where she basically discusses her journey into medicine. Check out her channel. Point number 17 was sent in by my amazing friend Chris, who recommends that people aspiring to apply to Oxbridge for medicine don't just pick it because of the prestige. This is something that I think I was guilty of in applying. At the very beginning, the reason why I wanted to apply to Oxford or Cambridge was probably because, you know, best universities in the UK, come on, kind of thing, instead of actually looking at the course structure and considering whether that would be a good fit for me. As I said before, medicine is a very extensive course and is a massive personal investment. 5-6 years of my life is a long time. It's over half a decade. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Let the main reason be because you like the course, you like the structure, and it's suited to you. And number 18, I've combined both Annie's second tip and also my good friend Chloe's tip because they were quite similar, and they basically spoke about not everything you do should be for your application. And I'm reading off my screen. Sometimes it's okay to do things for the sake of enjoying them. It may seem obvious, but it's easy to feel guilty in year 12 for doing things that don't directly link to your med school application. And Chloe talks about finding an actual hobby that you can continue and enjoy at university. Do it because you actually enjoy it. Now moving on to tip number 19. You should not spend your whole entire summer revising for your Ucat, preparing for your admissions test. It is possible to enjoy life and apply to med school at the same time. Your mental health, your well-being is equally, even more important than getting into med school. That can wait. You can retry as many times as you want, but your mental health cannot wait. Annie mentions that during the summer, where you'll probably be thinking about your application a lot, take some time off to spend time with your family, watch movies, all that good stuff. Tip number 20, or item number 20, I'm so tired at this point, was sent in by my good friend Patrick, who talks about not treating your application like a tick box. I'm gonna read the message that he sent in to me because I think it speaks for itself. He says, I would say for me, I wish I didn't treat the whole medicine application process as one big checklist. From what my school told me and general bad anecdotes, I got the impression that applying for medicine was like a competition of how many different things you could do, e.g. playing an instrument, doing every sport, being head girl, head boy. I relate to that. As much work experience as possible. How many medical school books can you read? How many charities have you volunteered for? I really thought judgment of who got in was based on some big list where people who'd done the most things were as close to perfect would get in. Honestly, I feel this outlook made the application process feel overly daunting and definitely didn't help with my mental health at points where I'd convinced myself I'd never be good enough. I kind of feel now that it's obvious to do things outside of academia, but I wish I just focused on the few things I enjoyed and didn't try to do all the things I thought I should be doing. Like for example, I did work experience at 6 hospitals because I thought it was like a bonus point for each placement, when really one quality placement is more than enough. Guess in short what I'm saying is you don't need to be perfect and do everything. So he stuck about 7 pieces of advice in 1 point, which is absolutely amazing. Right guys, we have reached the end of my video. This has been 20 things that I wish I would have known, plus my friends' contributions before applying to medical school. I hope this has been incredibly useful. And on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. I will see you in the next video. Oh my God, I've just realized I've just wore this top without any context. Am I a believer? I don't think so. I'm actually